What if the one thing holding you back isn't the world around you, but the lies you tell yourself? It's a bold claim, isn't it? But think about it. How often do you brush off your feelings with "it's not a big deal"? Or convince yourself that everything's fine when deep down, you know it's not? Avoiding the truth might feel like self-protection, but in reality, it's the very thing keeping you stuck. And here's the kicker. The truths you re-avoiding isn't just sitting quietly in the corner, it is showing up as anxiety, exhaustion, and even tension in your relationships. Now, I know what you're rethinking. But what if the truth is too painful to face? That's the trap we all fall into, believing that honesty will destroy us. But here's the twist. Facing the truth doesn't break you, it frees you. It's like finally taking off a pair of shoes that are 2 sizes too small. Sure, it's uncomfortable at first, but the relief that follows is undeniable. And the best part, you don't have to do it all at once. There are tools, strategies, and small steps that can make the process not just manageable, but transformative. So, what's the truth you've been avoiding? Is it about your career, your relationships, or maybe even how you see yourself? Whatever it is, this journey isn't about judgment, it's about clarity, growth, and reclaiming your life. By the end of this, you'll not only understand why facing the truth matters, but you'll also have the tools to start doing it today. Ready to take that first step? Let's dive in. Personal honesty is one of those things that sounds simple in theory but feels like climbing a mountain in practice. Oprah once admitted in an interview with Elizabeth Gilbert that her biggest regret was not learning to be honest with herself sooner. Think about that for a moment. Someone as accomplished as Oprah regretting something so fundamental? It's a reminder that even the most successful people struggle with this. How many times have you told yourself, "It's fine," or "It's not that bad," just to avoid the discomfort of facing the truth? These little lies we tell ourselves might feel like a shield, but they're more like a cage, keeping us stuck in patterns that don't serve us. We often avoid personal truths because we're too busy prioritizing the comfort of others. Maybe you've stayed in a job you hate because you didn't want to disappoint your family. Or perhaps you've smiled through a relationship that is draining you because you're afraid of being alone. These are the quiet sacrifices we make, trading our authenticity for approval. The problem is, every time we ignore our inner voice, we lose a little piece of ourselves. Over time, this can lead to a life that feels hollow, like you reliving someone else's story instead of your own. But here's the thing. Honesty with yourself doesn't have to be this grand, dramatic revelation. It can start small. Maybe it's admitting that you're not as happy as you pretend to be, or that you've been avoiding a tough conversation. These small acknowledgments are like breadcrumbs, leading you back to your authentic self. And once you start, you'll notice something surprising. It's not as scary as you thought. In fact, it's liberating. But why do we resist this so much? That's where the real challenge begins. Why is it so hard to be honest with ourselves? The answer often lies in the invisible barriers we've built over time. For many, it starts with limiting beliefs, those quiet whispers in your mind saying, "You can't handle the truth," or "It's better not to know." These beliefs convince us that facing the truth will hurt more than avoiding it. But here is the irony. The pain of avoidance often lingers far longer than the discomfort of honesty. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every day, thinking it's easier than setting it down. For people who grew up avoiding conflict or trying to please others, the idea of being honest can feel downright terrifying. You might think, what if my truth upsets someone? What if it changes everything? This fear of rocking the boat keeps many stuck in a cycle of denial and self-sabotage. Take the classic people pleaser who says yes to everything, even when it drains them. They're not just avoiding conflict with others, they're avoiding conflict with themselves. And the cost? A life that feels more like a performance than a reality. Then there's the sneakiest barrier of all. Self-deception. Over time, lying to yourself can become so habitual that you don't even notice it anymore. You convince yourself that you're fine when you're not, that you're happy when you're miserable, or that you're okay settling for less than you deserve. But here is the truth. Self-deception is like a house of cards. It only takes one gust of honesty to bring it all down. And while that might sound scary, it's also the first step toward freedom. So, what myths about truth are keeping us trapped? One of the biggest myths about the truth is that it's always painful. Sure, honesty can sting in the moment, but here's the kicker. Lies hurt far more in the long run. Think about it. How many times have you avoided a tough truth only to feel it creeping back into your life in unexpected ways? Maybe it shows up as tension in your shoulders, sleepless nights, or that nagging voice in your head that just won't quit. The truth might feel like ripping off a band-aid, but lies are like a slow, festering wound. The longer you ignore them, the worse they get. Another common myth is the idea that ignoring a truth will make it disappear. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. In fact, the truths we avoid have a funny way of manifesting elsewhere. Maybe you're avoiding the fact that your job is draining you, and suddenly you're snapping at your loved ones for no reason. Or perhaps you've been ignoring unresolved trauma, only to find yourself battling chronic headaches or insomnia. The body and mind are deeply connected, and when you suppress the truth, it finds other ways to demand your attention. But here's the most dangerous myth of all: that facing the truth will destroy you. It's easy to believe that acknowledging a hard reality, whether it's about your relationships, your choices, or even yourself, will lead to chaos. But the truth isn't here to break you. It's here to set you free. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Sure, it might be jarring at first, but once you see what's there, you can finally start to clean up the mess. And the cost of avoiding the truth comes with a hefty price tag. And it is often one we don't realize we're repaying until it is too late. One of the most significant costs is the loss of identity. When you build your life around avoiding uncomfortable truths, you end up living as a version of yourself that isn't real. Maybe you've stayed in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you or pursued a career that doesn't align with your passions, all because facing the truth felt too risky. Over time, this disconnect from your authentic self can leave you feeling hollow, like a stranger in your own life. Then there's the emotional toll. Anxiety, exhaustion, and that nagging sense of unease you just can't shake. Think about it, how much energy does it take to keep pretending everything is fine? It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it's going to pop back up. And the effort to keep it hidden drains you. This constant state of emotional suppression can lead to burnout, leaving you feeling like you're running on empty. And the worst part, you might not even realize that the root of your exhaustion is the truth you've been avoiding. But perhaps the most heartbreaking cost is the impact on your relationships. When you're not honest with yourself, it's almost impossible to be truly authentic with others. This creates shallow connections, where you're constantly performing instead of being real. You might find yourself stuck in repetitive cycles, attracting the same conflicts, the same disappointments, over and over again. It's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. No matter how beautiful it looks on the outside, it's bound to crumble. So, how do you know if you're stuck in this cycle? The truth has a way of leaving breadcrumbs, and if you're paying attention, the signs are hard to miss. One of the most common red flags is physical tension, tight shoulders, headaches, or that pit in your stomach you can't explain. Your body often knows something's off before your mind is ready to admit it. For example, have you ever felt inexplicably drained after spending time with someone? That's your body's way of signaling that something about the relationship isn't aligned with your truth. Ignoring these signals doesn't make them go away. It just amplifies them over time. Another telltale sign is the repetition of certain thoughts or worries. If you keep replaying the same conversations in your head or obsessing over what-if scenarios, it's a clear indicator that there's an unresolved truth lurking beneath the surface. Maybe you're stuck in a job that feels like a dead end, and every Sunday night, you're filled with dread. Or perhaps you're in a relationship where you feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly questioning your worth. These mental loops are your mind's way of nudging you toward the truth you're avoiding. Emotional numbness is another big clue. If you find yourself feeling disconnected, like you're just going through the motions, it's often because you've buried your emotions so deep that you can't access them anymore. This can show up in relationships where you feel distant or in situations where you should feel joy but don't. It's like living behind a glass wall watching life happen but never fully engaging with it. But here's the good news. Recognizing these signs is the first step toward change. So, what does it look like to finally face the truth? Facing the truth doesn't have to feel like jumping off a cliff. It can be a gentle step-by-step process. Start small. You don't need to tackle the biggest, scariest truths right away. For instance, instead of saying, "I hate my entire career," you might begin with, "I'm not feeling fulfilled in my job right now." These smaller truths are like practice runs, helping you build the courage and resilience to face the bigger ones. Think of it like dipping your toes into cold water before diving in. It is less shocking and gives you time to adjust. One powerful strategy is to approach yourself with honesty and compassion. Instead of beating yourself up for avoiding the truth, try saying, "I'm struggling right now," and that's okay. This simple act of self-kindness can make the process less intimidating. Another helpful tool is journaling. Write down the phrase, "if I'm being honest," and let your thoughts flow. You might be surprised at what comes up. For example, if I'm being honest, I feel stuck. Or if I'm being honest, I'm scared of change. These admissions might seem small, but they're the seeds of transformation. It's also important to remember that you don't have to do this alone. Sharing your truth with someone you trust, a friend, a therapist, or even a support group can make the process feel less isolating. Sometimes, just saying the words out loud can be a huge relief. And if that feels too daunting, start by imagining what you'd say to a friend in your situation. What advice would you give them? Chances are that same advice applies to you. So, what tools can you use to make this journey even smoother? Facing the truth doesn't have to feel like diving headfirst into chaos. It can be a gentle, intentional process. One of the most effective tools is journaling. Start with the phrase, "if I'm being honest," and let the words flow. For example, you might write, "If I'm being honest, I'm scared of failing." Or, "If I'm being honest, this relationship isn't making me happy anymore." Writing it down removes the pressure of saying it out loud and gives you a safe space to explore your feelings. It's like having a conversation with yourself, but without judgment. Another powerful strategy is the check-in with your body. Before making a decision or confronting a difficult truth, pause and notice how your body feels. Is there tension in your chest? A knot in your stomach? These physical cues are your body's way of communicating what your mind might be avoiding. For instance, if you feel a sense of relief when imagining a change, that's a sign you're moving toward alignment. On the flip side, if you feel heavy or uneasy, it might mean there's more to unpack. Listening to your body can be a game changer in navigating your truths. And let's not forget the importance of small, manageable steps. You don't need to tackle your biggest fears all at once. Start with low-stakes honesty, like admitting you don't like a certain restaurant or saying no to plans you are not excited about. These small acts of truth-telling build your confidence over time. And when you're ready, share your deeper truths with someone you trust, a therapist, or even a journal. The key is to approach this process with compassion, not pressure. But what happens when you start embracing this honesty? The results might just surprise you. So, here's the big question. What truth have you been avoiding? Is it a tough conversation you've been putting off? A decision you've been too scared to make? Or maybe even a part of yourself you've been hiding from? Whatever it is, ask yourself what would change if you stopped running from it. Imagine the weight you could lift, the clarity you could gain, and the freedom you could feel by simply being honest with yourself. The truth might feel heavy at first, but it's the only thing that can truly set you free. Now, here's the challenge. Take one small step today. Write down a sentence that starts with, "If I'm being honest," and see where it takes you. Or maybe pause for a moment and check in with your body. Notice what it is trying to tell you. And if you're feeling bold, share your truth with someone you trust. Remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every small step you take toward honesty is a step toward living a life that feels authentic and aligned. If this resonated with you, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to grow and learn. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And let's keep this conversation going in the comments. What's one truth you're ready to face? Let's support each other in this journey toward clarity, courage, and transformation. You've got this.